Yo, what's good, YouTube? It is your boy Charles here from the CG Sports Podcast, where talking sports is more than just a hobby. And welcome, everybody, to episode number 55. We've gone 55 episodes. I'm not really sure how we've gotten this far, but nonetheless, let's get into what we're doing. I think this video will be a big turning point for the podcast. We're going to start getting some longer episodes out there. We're going to start getting some segments. We're going to start getting some guests. So hopefully this episode will be the first of many great episodes to come. So nonetheless, we're going to start this one off with our first segment, and we'll make sure to do this every single episode. It's going to be sports news with CG, man. So today we got some combat sports news. We've got some NBA news. We've got some NFL news. And this is all from the last couple days, so I'm not going to waste no time. Let's get into it. Starting off with one that's kind of a mix of all of them. This is something that came out yesterday. And former NBA point guard Darren Williams and former NFL running back Frank Gore are scheduled to fight on the undercard of the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury boxing match. Now, I don't really know how to feel about this. There's not really too much to say other than clearly these guys want to make some extra money in their retirement, so they're going to mess around and box each other. So, hey, man, good for them. And let me know who you guys got winning that one. I got to go Frank Gore just because he's played professionally a little fresher, more recently, if you will, and he's also just a bulkier, bigger, stocky guy. So I don't really know, but right now, if I had to pick, give me Frank Gore. Moving on to our MMA news, Jorge Masvidal pulls out of his fight with Leon Edwards due to an undisclosed injury. And this is big, man. UFC 269 was supposed to be a phenomenal card. We were going to have that fight. It was probably the one I was looking forward to the most. Two guys I knew they were going to really throw. Leon a little bit more of a technical striker, Masvidal more of a brawler. It was going to be nice to kind of see how that one went down, but unfortunately Masvidal has pulled out. And this is interesting. Khamzat Chimaev, who actually just fought a couple weeks ago, has offered to step in on short notice to fight Leon Edwards. And we know Khamzat as a guy that everyone doesn't want to fight, just like Islam Makhachev, just like Khabib when he was still fighting. So it'll be interesting to see if Leon actually takes his fight. But what he has said is that he has his eyes set on Kamaru Usman. Now, we all know he just fought last week. So if he does set in stone that he wants to fight Usman, it's not going to be for another 6 months, I would think, maybe even more. But that's going to do it for your MMA news for this week. Moving over to the NBA, we all saw the big situation that happened in the Nuggets and Heat game where Markieff Morris and Nikola Jokic got into some type of problem. The Morris brothers are known for being guys that are necessarily dirty players, so I'm glad to see one of them finally got some, some treatment because of it. So Jokic was actually suspended for one game due to what he did. Markieff Morris was fined $50,000, and Jimmy Butler was fined $30,000 for escalating the situation. And I do that because I don't think escalating the situation was worthy of 30 grand, but such is life, man. Such is life. So 3 guys getting penalties from that altercation. Jokic was the only one to get suspended because he played a majority of it, but that's enough for that one. Next up, something we've spoken about for a little while now, the Celtics are interested in trading for Ben Simmons. Now, Daryl Morey, who is the Sixers GM, says that the only package they will make for Ben Simmons needs to include Jaylen Brown. And a lot of people, that was the immediate thought, is Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons and whatever else had to be included. But then the Celtics later came out and said that they have no interest in trading Jaylen Brown, which basically just tells me that this is nothing but another fluke. I don't think this trade is going to go through or anything close to it. But, it would have been nice to think about, but I think it's unrealistic at the time. Next story, LeBron James's conditioning coach says that he could miss 1 to 2 months with an injury. Now, we don't even really know what exactly this injury is, but if this is serious, this is a big problem for the Lakers. The Lakers are already struggling with LeBron missing every 1 in 3 games. And it's going to be interesting if he does have to miss this severe amount of time, what the Lakers are going to do to pick up his slack. Because we know Westbrook and AD have not really stepped it up in LeBron's absence. Frank Vogel's got his work cut out for him. He's got to come up with some way to get this team going without their best player. So we'll see how that goes. Next story, Cavaliers guard Colin Sexton tears his meniscus. It was a couple days ago that we seen the injury. I was really upset because I was hyped to see what Sexton was going to do this year, but he did tear his meniscus, and he is expected to have an extended absence, according to the Cavaliers. Now, what does extended absence mean? Does that mean 2 to 3 months? Does that mean 4 months? Does that mean to the end of the season? Does that mean to the playoffs? We don't really know. I'm sure we'll find out soon. But for right now, it's just considered an extended absence. Next story, Joel Embiid has entered health and safety protocol and will miss at least 10 days on COVID reserve, basically. And as I'm recording this, it's been about 4 days since he's been, taken into health and safety protocol. He's missed the last, I believe, 3 games. So they're definitely missing out on him. They're 0-3 without him. So it's definitely been tough. But nonetheless, I know when he gets back, my Sixers will be right on track. So I'm not too worried about that one. But obviously, the extra losses are not nice. Now, our next story is going to be about Montrezl Harrell, who, as we all know, went from the Lakers over to the Wizards this offseason. And he has said the reason why he is playing better is because he actually gets playing time, unlike what the Lakers gave him. Now, I'm not sure what he means by this. I'm really not, because in the Lakers, system, he was the 6th man. He was the guy that the second the starting 5 came off the court, he was the first guy to sub in for that bench unit. And he played the role well. So I don't really know what Montrezl Harrell is complaining about. I think he played the role he had to play. Did he think he was going to start over AD or over Dwight Howard or whoever else was playing center at the time? Hell no, he shouldn't. And if he did, he's out of his mind. So Montrez, I don't really know what you're talking about with that one, man. But that is going to wrap it up for all of the NBA news for this week. Moving on over to the NFL. We've got some good stuff to talk about on this one. The biggest story of this week, Odell Beckham Jr. officially hit waivers this week, and the teams had 24 hours to get him an offer and match his contract. Nobody did that, so he is now off waivers, which means he will be getting a new deal. The Patriots have already been in touch with Beckham, looking to make a deal happen. I would love to see that. They've already got some great talent in Jacoby Myers. Obviously, N'Keal Harry has been great, but imagine if they add Odell Beckham Jr. to throw on there with Mac Jones. That is going to help out a ton for that New England team. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the way it goes. Beckham has said reportedly that he prioritizes Green Bay as his top target, and I don't blame him. It's a true, clear contender with a phenomenal QB at the helm. Not a guy that you're going to be like, oh, is he going to be good like a Mac Jones situation? He's a proven star QB, and I don't blame him for it. But Beckham did say that he is going to take some time to make his decision. So don't expect in the next 1 to 2 weeks that he will be signed. I think by take some time, that means at least 3 to 4 weeks, if not more. So we'll have to wait and see, but I cannot wait to see where Odell Beckham Jr. signs in this, middle point of the season. And clearly, wherever he goes, it's going to have a major impact on whatever that team is. Moving on to our next story, Vikings running back Dalvin Cook has his ex-girlfriend filing a lawsuit against him for giving her a concussion. Now, we don't know how reliable this is, but it's what has been reported, so not too much to say about this one other than the fact that the Vikings cannot have any success without Dalvin Cook, and we'll have to see if he even plays on Sunday because of this whole lawsuit thing. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Next story, back over to Green Bay. Packers QB and wide receiver Aaron Rodgers and Allen Lazard were fined $15,000 for violating COVID protocols. Now, I'm not sure why they felt the need to do this. I think just wait your week and get back on the field when you can. But violating COVID protocols, the Packers organization was also fined $300,000 for that as well. So just a waste of money there from those guys. I mean, you just got to suck it up and wait, man. I think it's that simple, but nothing too crazy going on with that one. Just some people losing some money. Moving over to Carolina, Panthers QB Sam Darnold, who had an injured scapula, has been listed to miss several weeks. We're not sure how many just yet, but the term that's been used is several, which usually means, 3 to 5. So we'll have to wait and see how long it takes for him to get back out there in Carolina, which is going to hurt them considering CMC is back from injury, and just when you get him back, your QB goes down. So PJ Walker will step in at QB. We've seen a little bit of him last season, and we'll see what we get out of him this year. I mean, he did show some signs of being an okay quarterback, so we'll see if he could bring that back to this Carolina team and maybe get them some wins. We'll have to wait and see. Heading on over to Seattle, Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has made it very clear that he plans to play against Green Bay on Sunday night. We know he's been out for a whole lot of weeks with this finger injury, and he is saying that he's finally ready to come back to Seattle and, start leading this offense again. They have definitely struggled with Geno Smith at the helm. They've got a tough matchup cut out for them against Green Bay, so I know that they like having this guy back. Moving on to our next story, we're going over to the Jets, who have officially named Mike White the starter next week against Buffalo. He got hurt in last week's Thursday night matchup against Indianapolis, but he has been told that he is good to play. He's been cleared, and he is going to be the starter against Buffalo. Not that I think it matters too much, but we'll get into the picks a little later. And our final NFL headline is going to be all about Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara did not practice today due to a knee injury. The severity still is not known, but if I'm speaking from, my own experience, I don't think it's anything serious. I think he should be just fine for Sunday. There are some times where these guys take time off around the middle of the week and so I don't think it's anything to be too worried about. I think he'll be fine for Sunday, but that is going to do it for our NFL news. And finally, we're going to get on to our final segment of the show, which is going to be our Week 10 NFL picks. Now, usually we dedicate a whole video to this, make it a big thing. And while that's nice, I think you guys just want to hear the picks and the scores and, some general information. So we're going to go through this one pretty quickly, not for nothing. So let's start getting into this one, starting off with our Week 10 picks. Start off with the bye weeks. That is going to be the Bears, the Bengals, the Texans, and the Giants. So 4 teams on bye this week, which means 14 games to be predicted. And let's get straight into those games. Starting off with our Thursday night matchup, it is going to be the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens. I got the Ravens winning this one 27-13. They've been red hot. They've been really good the past couple weeks. Ever since that loss to Cincinnati, they've really stepped it up. I think they get another big win on a short week. Moving on to our next game, it is going to be the Titans and the Saints. The Titans, of course, do not have Derrick Henry. I think that in itself is the game changer for this one. Saints win this one. Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara and company come through with a close win, 23-16. Now, moving on to our next game. This is going to be another one that I think will shock you guys. Jets and Bills. AFC East divisional matchup. I got the Bills winning this one, of course, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than some people are making it seem. 34-20 in favor of Buffalo is going to be my pick. I think Mike White gets some good points on the board for the Jets, but obviously not enough to win. Moving on to our next game, it'll be the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers matching up in this one. Now, this is a game we all know who's going to win. I don't see the Lions getting their first win this week, but I think this is their best chance, if any, to go ahead and get a win. But I don't think they'll get it this week. I think Big Ben and company can get it done. Steelers winning this one 20-9. Moving on to our next game, it'll be a AFC South divisional matchup. Jaguars and Colts. Now, the Jaguars just had one crazy upset of a win over Buffalo. I don't think they keep it going this week. I think Carson Wentz, who has looked phenomenal, I must say, is going to get it done. Colts win this one 24-10. Moving on to our next game, it is going to be the Washington football team and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I don't see much from Washington that would make me believe that they keep this game close. The Bucs, we all know what the Bucs do. They're phenomenal. So I am going to give the Bucs the win, of course. Final score for this one will be 30-17. I think that Bucs defense will have a hell of a day. Maybe grab some turnovers as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Moving on to our next game, I think this will be one of, if not the best games of the entire week. It is the Cleveland Browns and the New England Patriots. Now, Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield matchup. I'm excited for it. Not only that, but I think this is just going to be a great matchup. I would like to tell you something else, but it's that simple. We got 2 young QBs going at it, 2 pretty stacked rosters. Obviously, the Browns without OBJ, but they're still solid. I do think New England pulls this one out. I think Mac Jones could really get this offense rolling. Damian Harris will be coming back from an injury, so expect a slow start from him. Maybe he'll get on a snap restriction. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think the Patriots win this one in a very, very close game, 23-20. Now, moving on to our next one. This is a game that we seen last year that was absolutely crazy. Falcons and Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys are a lot better than they were last year, and the Falcons are just about as bad as they were last year. Maybe you want to give them a little better. I'll give you some leeway there, but I think the Cowboys get it done. No problem here. Dak and that stacked offense keep up the good rhythm they're in. That defense stays on lockdown, and the Cowboys win this one 31-16. Moving on to our next game, it is going to be the Panthers and the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals will be having Kyler Murray back, I would like to assume. He missed last week with a shoulder injury. I think he could have played, but I think Arizona was just kind of playing it safe, which you can't really blame him for. So I think Kyler comes back. I think it's a bit of a slow day for him in his return, but they still do enough to beat P.J. Walker and the Panthers. Cardinals win this one 20-13. And moving on to our next game, it'll be the Vikings and the Chargers. Now, the Chargers barely pulled out a win against Philadelphia. They had to kick a game-winning field goal, and I think a lot of people are starting to underestimate them now. At the end of the day, the Chargers will be the Chargers. I think they destroy Minnesota on Sunday. Final score for me on this one, 24-9, and expect a big day out of Mike Williams after a slow performance the week prior. Now, moving on to another game that I could think could be very, very exciting, the Seahawks and the Packers. Now, we are assuming here that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson both come back for this game, because if not, that will vary everything. But for now, we're going to give this one a final score of 30-24 in favor of Green Bay. Now, moving on to our next game, this is my Philadelphia Eagles matching up with the Denver Broncos. Now, I would love to tell you the Eagles are going to win this game, but Denver has looked really, really good these past couple weeks, and the Eagles have looked as flawed as ever. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Broncos this one. Pretty low-scoring game, but give me the Broncos 17-13. Now, next up for our Sunday Night Football matchup, an AFC West divisional game, the Raiders and the Chiefs matching up. Now, the Chiefs looking like they're starting to get back on the right track, but still a little sloppy. The Raiders obviously just lost Henry Ruggs for, you guys know what he did. Unbelievable. But nonetheless, I do have the Chiefs winning this one. They've been back on the right track. Like I said, I think that offense is going to continue to slightly get better. I think this week they get a big win against a division rival, 24-19. Now on to our next game. It is going to be an NFC West divisional matchup to close out the week on Monday night. Niners and Rams. I know a lot of people got the Rams winning this one with ease. I think Trey Lance and company could definitely keep up with this Los Angeles Rams team. Obviously, the defense is going to be doing wonders, adding Von Miller. He will be making his Rams debut on Monday night, but I don't even think that matters, man. Give me the Rams winning this one in a close game, 27-20. And finally, to close out the show, we're going to go into our Sports Better Lock of the Week. This is where we go through one game, and I give you one bet that I think is an absolute lock for the week. Now, this week, I wanted to do something a little different here. Take something that is a little less predictable. I am going to take the Jets on the spread at +12. Now, I know the Bills, they're trying to get revenge after an upset loss. The Jets have looked delusional, but I like enough what I've seen from Mike White to pick this team to be within 12 points. Now, we could look back at this and the Bills blow them out and I look crazy. But for right now, I'm saying it. I think the Jets can keep this one within 12 points. The Bills have been off to a very slow start after these past couple weeks. Zach Moss, we don't even know if he's going to play yet. He's dealing with an injury. If it's Singletary, they're going to run the ball a lot less. And just all around, it makes the offense worse. So we'll see. But I do think the Jets at +12 will be your sports better lock of the week. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for this one. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the episode. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. Make sure you guys drop a comment if there's any discussion topics or anything you guys want me to talk about on the next episode. Or if you have any sports questions, we will do a Q&A segment in the next episode as well. But nonetheless, it has been your boy CG. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'm out. Peace.